Can you just say something right now and not say?
Yes, I can say anything right now. I also am going to have my phone right here, so if you need to text me, I'll be able to see it.
Go ahead, Priscilla.
Hello. The Open Public Meeting Law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications, at Xfinity Channel 24, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Fios Channel 1962. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/cable. During the COVID-19 public health emergency, this is the BPDA April board meeting, which for the first time is being held virtually to ensure the safety of public, staff members, and the BPDA board members during COVID-19. To begin the meeting, I will take a roll of the board members. Ms. Downs.
Present.
Mr. Monahan.
Present.
Dr. Landsmark.
Present.
Thank you. Also present are Secretary Paul Hemus and Director Brian Golden. Okay, moving on to the first item on the EDIC agenda. Item number 1, request authorization for approval of the minutes of the March 12th, 2020 meeting. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, we will take roll call for each vote. So Ms. Downs,
Yes.
Mr. Monahan,
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark,
Yes.
and I as well. So motion passes. Second item on the agenda is request authorization to enter into a lease agreement with LFA Art Management, LLC, for the use of 150 square feet of office space at 12 Channel Avenue, Suite 505A, within the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, my name is Dennis Davis. I'm Deputy Director for Commercial Leasing. Suite 505 at 12 Channel Street is a small office consisting of approximately 150 square feet. It is occupied by LFA Art Management, who until recently was an agency-approved subtenant of AD Biotech. AD Biotech has recently vacated 15,000 square feet in the building, and LFA would like to remain at 12 Channel Street as a direct tenant of BPDA. As the name implies, LFA offers interior design consultation to residential developers and dwelling unit owners. Suite 505 is a standalone suite with its own dedicated entrance. However, it is not separately needed for electricity. We are proposing a 1-year lease with 2 one-year option terms. Rent will be based on $40 per square foot, which will include electricity. During the initial term, BPDA will receive $6,000 net of electricity.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay. Now for the roll call vote, Ms. Downs,
Aye.
Mr. Monahan,
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark,
Aye.
and I as well. Motion is in order. Motion passed. Okay, item number 3. Request authorization to approve the assignment of the lease for 27 Dry Dock Avenue within the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park from RREF to Dry Dock LLC to BCP-CG Property LLC. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 27 Dry Dock Avenue is a 280,000 square foot multi-tenanted building in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park. It was originally leased to Dry Dock Associates in 1987. The lease was subsequently sold to Zoom Group in 2002. Zoom Group was successful in transforming this primarily warehouse building into an affordable option to research and development companies, And it was actually the first building that, to my knowledge, that was successful in luring R&D companies from Kendall Square, purely because of the price point. In 2015, BPDA and Zoom renegotiated the lease to establish new parameters for rent, term, taxes, and transaction participation. As a result, base rent to BPDA increased by over $1 million per year, and the lessee is now responsible to pay any real estate taxes imposed upon the building. In 2016, Zoom sold the lease to Related Beal Company, who formed the current ownership entity, RREF2 Dry Dock LLC. Related Beal is built upon the early success of Zoom Group and has positioned the building to be a state-of-the-art research and development facility. Related Beal has also entered into a separate license agreement with BPDA for the use of 28 parking spaces located adjacent to the building on Black Falcon Avenue. Related Beal has informed BPDA of its intent to sell both the building and the parking license to Beacon Capital Partners, who will form the separate legal entity that you mentioned during the introduction. Beacon Capital Partners is a private real estate investment firm located in Boston. The company was founded in 1946. They now own and manage over 180 buildings throughout the United States and worldwide, including many in downtown Boston. Beacon Capital Partners intends to continue to operate the building as a multi-tenanted research and development facility. Under the terms of the lease, BPDA is to receive 1% of the purchase price from Related Beal. The contemplated purchase price is in excess of $260 million, of which BPDA would receive over $2.6 million. Beacon Capital Partners will honor the existing terms and conditions of the lease and the parking license. No changes or amendments to the lease are being contemplated at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Towne,
Aye.
Mr. Monahan,
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 4, request authorization to enter into rent deferment agreements with EDIC tenants severely impacted by COVID-19. Devin.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. For the record, I am Devin Quirk, Director of Real Estate. As you're all aware, the COVID-19 pandemic has created unprecedented public health and economic challenges across the entire globe. Here in Boston, Mayor Walsh has been at the forefront of responding to these challenges that the pandemic is placing on our businesses and the residents of our city. Under his direction, BPDA staff have been involved in relief efforts ranging from expanding hospital bed capacity to delivering food to our most vulnerable residents. Today, I'm here to ask this board's support to further these relief efforts by authorizing the director to enter into rent deferment agreements with tenants on BPDA property. Across the real estate industry, many commercial tenants have suffered sudden and dramatic revenue loss, and they are requesting rent relief from their landlords. BPDA tenants are no exception to this. Our tenants fuel Boston's local economy and create thousands of jobs for Boston's residents. Across this agency, we are committed to supporting them. Given the stresses that COVID-19 is placing on our tenants, their businesses, and their employees, staff believe that it is in the public interest to offer an immediate rent relief program to those tenants in the greatest need. At the same time, the agency derives nearly 70% of its revenue from a real estate portfolio in the form of leases, sales, and parking payments. Therefore, maintaining occupancy of our properties is critical to ensuring the agency's long-term financial stability. We believe that a needs-based rent deferment program will appropriately balance our commitment to supporting our tenants while operating within our budgetary constraints. At this time, we are seeking authorization for the director to offer rent deferment to any tenant in need for payments due in the months of April, May, or June. We have developed an application form for tenants to fill out to request a deferment. This form asks tenants to quantify their need and provide documentation of financial hardship. The applications are being evaluated by a committee of staff from our real estate, finance, and legal teams, and we expect that while each agreement may be tailored to the needs of the particular tenant, our intention is that most agreements will include a repayment of deferred rent over the course of the next fiscal year or future years. In conclusion, the BPDA's mission is to guide inclusive growth in Boston, and with this vote today, we are asking your support to advance our mission through a temporary policy tool that will support our tenants, their employees, and a return to economic growth in what I hope is the not too distant future. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the board?
Yes, I would like to I would like to make a comment. I think this is a really, really crucial issue that's going to be facing our agency. I think this deferment is going to be proven to be not enough to support our tenants. And I say this as a tenant myself that is trying to access, a tenant and small business owner who's trying to access resources to have our business survive this crisis. We saw this week the SBA Disaster Relief Loan Fund dry up, and we've applied for certain things that we applied for a Verizon grant of $10,000. They had 55,000 applications, and they were able to only fund 250. We also applied to the state. The state quickly announced a $10 million small business fund. They received 2,700 applications within 1 week, and they were able to only fund 350. So I think this deferment vote is great, but I think we as an agency have to be aware that this is not going to be enough, and that there's going to be tremendous downward pressure on commercial rents for the next foreseeable few years. So I hope that in our planning that we are prepared for that future. And I know we're also going to need to try to forecast what the value of our rents are out to the future. And that is going to be required to be put on our balance sheet. That's a new thing that's coming up. And I think it's extremely hard in this climate to make those estimations. But again, I think this deferment is a good preliminary step, but we have to be prepared for many more tenants to be coming to us for greater relief. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Devin?
Yeah, I'd be happy to respond to that. I think I sincerely appreciate that comment, and I think your comment reflects the concerns that many of our tenants are facing. And I think largely we agree with you. We know this is a first step. This step is really about understanding the needs. So we developed this application form, like I mentioned, and that form asks tenants to quantify exactly what the financial hardship they're seeing and what relief they're seeking. And it gives them the space to ask for what they think will work for their business. And depending on what it says in the lease, we can work with them. At this time, we're not asking your permission to enter into forgiveness agreements, because I think right now we're anticipating that if that was necessary, that we would bring those individual authorizations to you to speak to the actual conditions of the individual tenant. But we know we need to move quickly, and we want tenants to be in good financial standing. So we want to be able to issue them at least a quick deferment of their April, May, or June rent, if that's what's necessary to keep the businesses in business and keep them supported.
Great, thank you.
Okay, awesome. So any additional questions from the board? I would like to thank you, Ms. Downs, for your service as treasurer, and keeping that definitely on our radar in the short and long-term plan. And I'm again really grateful for the finance and the budgeting area as well. That the work that we've done over the past years to improve our forecasting ability, I think is going to definitely just benefit the agency and the cities of Boston and our tenants. So thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay. Hearing no further questions, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. Motion passes. So that concludes the agenda for our EDIC meeting. So I need a ask for a motion to adjourn the EDIC meeting.
I move we adjourn the EDIC meeting.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes, meeting adjourned. We will now begin the,
Madam Chair?
yes,
We skipped personnel in the EDIC
we
agenda.
skipped personnel. So
which
should we
we-
reopen?
We need to reopen it, correct?
Awesome, great. Okay, so I would like to, so do I read the?
Open meeting law,
Open meeting
yep.
law. Okay, we are going to reopen the EDIC meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. The open public meeting law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications, at Xfinity Channel 24, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Fios Channel 1962. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/cable. During the COVID-19 public health emergency, this is the BPDA April board meeting, which for the first time is being held virtually to ensure the safety of public, staff members, and the BPDA board members during this time. I will now take a roll call from the board members. Ms. Downs.
Present.
Mr. Monahan.
Present.
Dr. Landsmark.
Present.
Okay. And I'm present. So we have one more agenda item, and that is personnel.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Samuel Marco with the Human Resources Department. We have a few items for your consideration on the EDIC agenda. We have 2 appointments with the details in the board memo. Adam Dumvari, Records Manager in the Compliance Division, with an adjusted start date of March 23rd. Malik Gomes, Job Developer and Retention Specialist in the Office of Workforce Development, with a start date of May 4th. We have 1 status change listed within the board memo for Cecilia Montesser, Grants and Budget Assistant. That's a reduction of hours from 35 to 21. We have 1 ESC Employment Service Contractor, contract extension request for Joanne Evans in the Office of Workforce Development. We have 1 out-of-state travel for Lydia Surafi, Senior Program Manager in the Office of Workforce Development. And we have 1 departure for Victoria Abolina, the Assistant Deputy Director of Neighborhood Planning.
Okay, thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome.
Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, well, I will now do a roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. I now would like another to adjourn. A motion is in order to adjourn the EDIC meeting.
I move we adjourn the EDIC meeting.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes, meeting adjourned. Okay, now we are going to move on to the BPDA board meeting agenda. So I will begin with the open public meeting law statement, which requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications, at Xfinity Channel 24, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Fios Channel 1962. It is also being live streamed at boston.gov/cable. During the COVID-19 public health emergency, this is a BPDA This is the BPDA April board meeting, which for the first time is being held virtually to ensure the safety of the public, staff members, and the BPDA board during COVID-19. I will now take a roll call of the board members. Ms. Downs.
Present.
Mr. Monahan.
Present.
Dr. Landsmark.
Present.
Okay. And I, the chair, Ms. Rojas, is present. Okay. Let's start with agenda item number 1. Request authorization for the approval of the minutes of the March 12th, 2020 meeting. A motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we will now take a roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs.
Aye.
Mr. Monahan.
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Okay, the second item on the agenda. Request authorization to amend the Memorandum of Agreement with the Massachusetts Department of Transportation and the Rose Kennedy Greenway Conservancy for the Mascot CAT project, Parcel 2 Park Design and Construction Project, to increase the mitigation fund contribution by $205,000 for a total of $805,000. Kenan.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Kenan Ryan. I'm a senior planner in downtown and neighborhood planning. So BPDA staff requests authorization for the director to execute an amendment to the MOA, which is dated June 4th, 2018, among the BPDA, Mascot, and the Greenway Conservancy regarding the Mascot Central Artery Tunnel Project, Parcel 2 Park, to increase the BPDA contribution amount from $600,000 to $805,000. If you're not aware of the park, it's a 5,000 square foot park located at the northern terminus of the Greenway. It's surrounded by North Washington Street, Anthony Valenti Way, and Beverly Street. It's currently owned by Mascot and is part of the Rose Kennedy Greenway Conservancy lease. The CAT project parcels have been a collaborative effort between the BPDA and Mascot. Both agencies have convened a design and construction process for the Parcel 2 Park. So on June 14, 2018, the board authorized the following. First is the permission for the secretary to advertise and issue an RFP for design services for the design of a new park at Parcel 2 on the Greenway for the amount of $100,000 from mitigation funds that were received from proximate projects. And second, the execution of an MOA with Mascot and the Conservancy for the Parcel 2 Park design and construction project. On December 13, 2018, the board authorized a change to the MOA to allow the Conservancy to act as Mascot's agent for design and construction. And on April 26, 2019, the VRA, Mascot, and the Conservancy entered into the MOA. On July 11, 2019, the board authorized the director to enter into a design contract with ASK Plus, doing business as Ask Design Build, for the project, in the amount not to exceed $100,000 for up to 24 months for design services. This contract will not be impacted by the MOA amendment. ASK Plus, our landscape architect, submitted a 25% construction documentation set and cost estimate to the BPDA, Mascot, and the Conservancy for review on December 13th, 2019. After reviewing the submittal, the BPDA determined that the set responsibly reflected the community's vision for the park, established through 4 community meetings, while balancing the cost implications of building on top of an active tunnel. The initial cost estimate identified a funding gap of $205,000 between the project budget and an estimation of the construction bid value. This estimation was based on comparable landscape projects completed in the area of comparable size and finish quality. The MOA allocates $600,000 in mitigation funds to the project, with up to $45,000 of the total amount dedicated to the Conservancy's construction management fee. Additionally, $100,000 in funds was contributed to the design services contract with ASK Plus. The remaining $455,000 is allocated to construction costs. The additional $205,000 will be allocated to construction costs as well. The project is funded by the Parcel 1B, 1C project in the amount of $500,000 and the Hub on Causeway in the amount of $100,000. The additional $205,000 will be contributed through HYM Investments Government Center Garage Redevelopment Project. The Master Cooperative Agreement for the Government Center Garage Redevelopment Project requires the proponent BPDA Project Impact Contribution Fund to fund significant public realm improvements in the area surrounding the project. HYM Investment and the BPDA agree that the project qualifies to receive money from this fund. We have a support letter that's also an attachment to this memo showing that. So for this reason set forth herein, BPDA staff recommends that the director be authorized to amend the MOA with Mascot or its designee in the Conservancy for the Central Artery Tunnel Project Parcel 2 Park Design and Construction process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kenan. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Okay, item number 3. Request authorization to amend the ground lease agreement with CVPA Chain Forge LLC as tenant and redeveloper of Building 105, also known as the Chain Forge Building, located on a portion of Parcel NY-1 in the Charlestown Navy Yard within the Charlestown Urban Renewal area. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, for the public record, my name is Dennis Davis. I'm Deputy Director for Commercial Leasing. In December 2017, BPDA and CVPA Chain Forge LLC executed a ground lease for the development of the Chain Forge Building in the Charlestown Navy Yard to develop it into a 230-room hotel. Under the terms and conditions of the lease, the tenant would be in default of the lease in the event that they did not obtain building permits and financing by a date certain. The board had graciously authorized an extension of time to close on the financing and building permits several times, most recently in January 2020. In January, the board authorized an extension of time to April 30th, 2020. The developer has agreed to pay a substantial fee each time the designation was extended, so these requests have not been taken lightly or without cause. In January 2020, I represented to the board that the developer was in the final stages of negotiating with 2 investors to utilize the Federal Opportunity Zone program as a mechanism to entice equity participation. In January, both the developer and I represented to the board that we did not anticipate any further requests to extend the deadlines. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the capital markets are in flux, and the hotel industry in particular has been seriously impacted. Since March 2020, the hotel business in Boston and Cambridge has all but evaporated. Occupancy rates this time of year historically have been about 80%. Currently, conventions have been canceled, colleges have closed, corporate travel is virtually non-existent. Today, hotels are at single-digit occupancies if they're even open. Most recently, the Hotel Buckminster in Kenmore Square has closed its doors and will not reopen. Equity investors and lenders are cautiously refraining from considering new loans until the crisis subsides and new underwriting models are finalized. Therefore, we're requesting permission to extend the deadline for financing and building permits to August 31st of 2020. The developer has agreed to pay an additional fee for this accommodation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and now roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Agenda item number 4, request authorization to amend the lease agreement with Charlestown Marina LLC for the use of water parcel D in the Charlestown Navy Yard. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Water Parcel D consists of 174,902 square feet of water in the Charlestown Navy Yard. There is no direct access to the parcel from upland or the land. However, it immediately abuts the watershed portion of the Charlestown Marina. The Charlestown Marina was established in 2015 after the owners purchased the derelict Shipyard Quarters Marina. Shipyard Quarters was subject to several lawsuits and enforcement actions due to its failure to correct multiple safety and code violations. Charlestown Marina owners have agreed to accept the government-imposed improvement requirements as a condition of operating the marina. In 2015, BPDA entered into a license with Charlestown Marina to include the adjacent water parcel D to allow the installation of additional floats and finger piers. In order to incentivize Charlestown Marina to enter into the 45-year license, BPDA agreed to charge a flat fee of $35,000 per year for the first 5 years. This rate would allow Charlestown Marina to budget expenses appropriately to address the safety and code violations that is now their responsibility to repair. The license requires that BPDA and Charlestown Marina negotiate a new license effective May 2020, a new license rate, effective May 2020, which will establish the baseline for all future escalations. The impacts of the tourism industry as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic are unknown at this time. Much of the business for the Charlestown Marina is seasonal and involves vacationers visiting Boston and for pleasure in the recreational vessels. That business, at least for 2020, is likely to be seriously impacted. It's staff's opinion that it is not in the agency's financial interest to negotiate a long-term rent commitment in these uncertain economic times. Therefore, we're recommending that the market adjustment date be extended from May 2020 to May 2021 in recognition of the current economic instability. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 5, request authorization to enter into a license agreement with Suffolk Jewelers, Inc. For the use of 4,760 square feet of land located at 23 through 25 East Lenox Street in Roxbury for employee and customer parking. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 23 to 35 East Lenox Street is vacant land owned by BPDA located directly behind Suffolk Jewelers at 1888 Washington Street. In 2005, BPDA entered into a license agreement with Suffolk Jewelers to utilize the parcel for employee and customer parking. The original license has expired and Suffolk Jewelers has been utilizing the space on a tenant at will basis. Although Suffolk has been honoring the terms and conditions of the license as a holdover tenant, BPDA staff feels it's in the agency's best interest to enter into a current license agreement for the property while BPDA contemplates the issuance of an RFP for the parcel. Also, a recent market analysis indicated that a modest increase in the license fee is warranted. We're requesting permission to enter into a new license with Suffolk Jewelers for a 1-year term with a 1-year option commencing May 1st, 2020. Fee will be $3,000 per month, which would represent a 20% increase over the existing license. In the event that the option is exercised, the rent will increase by 10%, and the license can be terminated by either party during the option term with 90 days notice. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Okay, item number 6, request authorization to enter into a license agreement with the Boston Public Health Commission for Boston Emergency Medical Services use of 2 BRA-owned parcels and improvements located at 516 through 522R Main Street in Charlestown. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Boston Emergency Medical Services has stations posted throughout the city of Boston, including the Charlestown neighborhood. BPDA has allowed EMS, Emergency Medical Services, EMS, to utilize 6,000 square feet at 516 Main Street in Charlestown since 1982, when it was forced to relocate from City Square to accommodate the Central Artery project. In 2017, BPDA authorized EMS to continue to use 516 Main Street through September of 2019. In February 2020, BPDA issued an RFP for the site, which would require a creative developer to accommodate a new EMS station on that site as a condition of designation. A developer has not yet been selected, and BPDA staff believe it is in the agency's best interest to have an active formal license agreement in place with EMS for as long as BPDA retains sole care, custody, and control of the site. This arrangement will ensure that EMS can continue to operate out of the existing site on BPDA land until a more permanent long-term solution is created. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 7, request authorization to amend the license agreement with Navy Yard Garden Associates Incorporated for an interactive public arts exhibit in the Charlestown Navy Yard to extend the termination date, and to amend the license agreement with the Leopold Gallery LLC for the installation of the Whitaker wind sculpture art exhibit to extend the termination date. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Navy Yard Garden Association is a nonprofit organization focused on activating portions of the Charlestown Navy Yard during the summer months. In August of 2019, BPDA authorized the director to enter into a license agreement with the Navy Yard Garden Association and a license agreement with the Leopold Gallery, who's an artist out in Kansas City, Missouri, to install wind sculpture artwork, which would be created by the Leopold Gallery. The goal is to draw additional visitors to the Navy Yard and to add to BPDA's efforts to activate the Navy Yard during the warmer months. The initial license is scheduled to expire in September of 2020. Both entities have requested that the expiration date be extended to allow visitors to enjoy the artwork during the warmer autumn 2020 months and early spring 2021 months. We're requesting permission to amend the license agreement to extend the expiration date for each through May 31st, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 8, request authorization to enter into a license agreement with the National Park Service to install a monumental marker to memorialize the middle passage stage of the triangular trade on Long Wharf. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The National Park Service has requested permission to utilize a portion of Long Wharf for the installation of a pylon marker citing Long Wharf's well-documented history involving the slave trade in the 18th century. Slaves were recorded in Boston as early as 1638 when the city served as a middle passage city where slaves were bought and sold. A public ceremony was held at Faneuil Hall in 2015 to mark the first International Day of Remembrance of the Middle Passage and its abolition. The installation of the marker on Long Wharf will serve as a permanent reminder of this history. The marker will be financed by the National Park Service and the Edward Ingersoll Brown Fund. License term will be for 10 years with automatic renewals annually unless terminated by either party. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions from the board?
Could you comment on how the design of this marker was determined?
Not so much on the design. I know Design Communications, which is a prominent manufacturer of signs, and is making it, and it was commissioned by the National Park Service, but I can't speak with any more detail than that. I can get back to you on that, certainly.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any further questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
The chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 9, request authorization to enter into rent deferment agreements with BRA tenants severely impacted by COVID-19. Devin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is the same request to authorize the director to enter into rent deferment agreements with tenants in crisis that was discussed during the EDIC portion of the agenda. We're asking for the same authorization for BRA properties. I don't have any new content to present, but I'd be happy to answer any additional questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 10. Request authorization to increase the contract amount with Gone Green Electric Company Incorporated for the electric and maintenance repair of BRA-owned properties in an amount not to exceed $12,500 per year of the contract term. Devin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This matter is quite literally keeping the lights on at BPDA properties. The BPDA has a need for contractual services for electrical repair and maintenance work on BPDA property. We competitively advertised and did this work, and as a result, we contract with Gone Green Electric Company. The contract is for 1 year with 2 one-year extensions. The annual contract amount currently is not to exceed $50,000. However, we expect to perform slightly more work than originally anticipated, so we'd like your authorization to increase the contract amount by 25%. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, let's keep those lights on. Okay, hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 11, request authorization to execute a construction contract with ACK Marine and Contracting LLC for the Long Wharf Seawall Stabilization Project in the Central Wharf District in an amount not to exceed $819,000, $819,350. William.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is William Epperson, Deputy Director for Capital Construction within the Real Estate Department, and this is my first time appearing before you since joining the agency in March of this year. Hello, Carol. In January of 2018, BPDA hired CLE Engineering, later acquired by Fothe Infrastructure and Environment, to complete a structural assessment and to prepare contract bid documents for the stabilization of the Long Wharf Seawall in the Central Wharf District of Boston. The subject work includes the installation of steel sheet piling at the base of the granite block seawall, which will be backfilled with concrete to stabilize the structure of Long Wharf. This is a continuation of the fortification that has been successfully implemented along the adjacent south-facing seawall and completes the required stabilization of the structure. The board authorization for bidding the project was received in December of 2019, and the project was competitively bid in accordance with Chapter 3039M of the Massachusetts General Laws. Bids were received on March 18th of this year, opened and read aloud, and the lowest eligible and responsible bidder was ACK Marine and General Contracting for an amount of $819,350. All documents required by Chapter 3039M were submitted by the contractor. The design consultant has also recommended ACK Marine and General Contracting as the lowest eligible and qualified bidder. The total contract award is for $819,350 and has been appropriately budgeted for in the agency's FY20 and 21 capital budget. Therefore, we are requesting that the director be authorized to enter into this contract with ACK Marine. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them at this time. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Fabulous job for your first time. Do we have any questions from the board?
I have a question. Welcome to the BPDA, first of all. And how do we judge whether a bid and contract of this size that was initiated in December, how do we decide whether the amount is still relevant in this new post-COVID economy? And is there something in the contract itself that allows the parties involved revisit the pricing, or how does that work?
So that's an excellent question. I will say first and foremost that we are seeking authorization to enter into the contract, but certainly before we provide any notice to proceed, we do need to give an evaluation to the current conditions before authorizing the start of the construction. And we also would not expect any construction to start until the current moratoriums that have been implemented are released. There are no current specific clauses in the contract to allow for a renegotiation specifically to the COVID crisis. To be quite honest, I think that when the time comes and we have more time, there will need to be a conversation with the contractor, both to ensure their continued viability. We certainly hope that everybody is able to get through these troubling times unaffected. But like most of us, we really have no idea how long we're going to find ourselves in this situation.
Okay, great.
Okay. Any further questions from the board?
I guess we just all have to operate with a great degree of uncertainty, and I think awarding a contract like this may help a contractor survive. So I think it's a risk it's okay to take, but we're going to need some way of evaluating money that we're spending in a new contract, I guess. Who knows what that is?
Right. No. As always, thank you, Madam Treasurer. It is something we're definitely going to have to assess as an agency. I agree. If there aren't any further questions, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 12, request authorization to execute an amendment to the engineering design contract with Fothe Infrastructure and Environmental LLC in connection with this Long Wharf Seawall Stabilization Project in the Central Wharf District for the sale of CLE Engineering Incorporated to Fothe Infrastructure and Environmental LLC, and extension of a contract until the project completion, and an increase not to exceed $122,645. William.
Thank you again, Madam Chair. This request is regarding the same project as the previous vote. We are requesting authorization to amend an existing contract with CLE Engineering, who again was later acquired by Fothe Infrastructure and Environment, the designer and engineer of record for the Long Wharf Seawall Stabilization Project. The contract needs to be amended in three parts. First, to reflect the sale of CLE Engineering to Fothe Infrastructure and Environment. Two, to extend the duration of the contract through construction completion. And three, to increase the contract amount by $122,645. It is crucial to the project's success to maintain continuity in the engineer of record, and for that engineer to inspect and provide oversight of the work being completed by the contractor. The initial design contract included the scope, but was insufficient in both contract length and contract amount, thus the need for the amendment. The proposed amendment will extend the contract duration through completion of the work by the contractor, which is estimated at 7 months from the notice to proceed. The amendment will also increase the contract amount by $122,645, bringing the total contract amount to $291,195. Both amounts are not to exceed amounts and subject to hourly billing for the actual work performed. This work has been appropriately budgeted for in the agency's fiscal year 20 and 21 capital budget. Therefore, we are requesting that the director be authorized to amend the contract with CLE Fothe. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
Okay, I do have one question. Can you comment a little bit more on the drivers of the increase? I know you mentioned there were some scoping issues. Maybe just a little bit more on that.
Sure. This is primarily because the initial design contract included two components. First, a boardwalk timber improvement project, which was recommended and designed by the design engineer. That project was executed. The work is now done. We did that before proceeding with the second phase. So it was mostly due to the fact that we had two separate projects lumped into one design services contract that required the needed further extension.
Okay, that makes sense. Do we have any further questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 13, request authorization to extend the final designation of EBCDC Incorporated as the tenant and redeveloper of 146 through 172 Condor Street in East Boston, to execute a ground lease with the redeveloper and to take all related actions. Dennis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In October 2016, the board awarded tentative designation status to the East Boston Community Development Corporation for the development of the 7-acre parcel at 146 Condor Street in East Boston. Their intent is to develop a maritime industrial center consistent with the goals of the RFP, existing port regulations, and City of Boston zoning. As I've reported in previous board meetings, this development will take several years due to the complexities of the site itself and the port-related regulations. Several development milestones have been established, the first of which is to have the fully executed lease. At the meeting held in February of 2020, the board extended the deadline for the executed lease to April 30th of 2020. Although great strides have been made by BPDA and East Boston CDC business and legal teams toward finalizing this complicated lease, we're not quite there. Several iterations of it have gone back and forth, and we are very close. We're requesting an extension for the execution of the lease to July 31st, 2020. I have absolute confidence that we will have a fully executed lease well in advance of that deadline. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 14, request authorization to issue a partial certificate of completion for the building consisted of 4 LEED Platinum units under the E+ Green Building Program located at 36 through 38 Colonial Avenue in Dorchester. It's a certificate of completion, so we don't have any presentation. So a motion is in order.
So moved.
Sorry.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 15, request authorization to adopt a minor modification to the Government Center Urban Renewal Plan to include community uses on Parcel 11 for the City Hall Plaza Renovations Project. Chris? Chris, you're on mute. Or is it going to be somebody other than Chris? I defer to the secretary for further instruction.
So this is a minor modification that has to do with the uses on City Hall Plaza. It's part of the renovation project that the City of Boston is conducting. And there's Chris Green.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
We can hear and see you now.
My technical difficulty. So, let me start
Oh,
over.
little feedback. Do you have, it's
Yeah,
okay. We're just
There we
gonna
go. Can you hear me
pause,
now?
like, yes.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Madam Secretary, Director Golden, my name is Christopher Breen, Urban Renewal Manager in the Director's Office of the BPDA. Before you is a request to adopt a resolution for a minor modification to allow for community uses to be added as an allowable building and land use requirement for Parcel 11. Also known as City Hall Plaza, this nearly 123,000 square foot parcel in the Government Center Urban Renewal Plan area, project number Mass R35 in Boston's downtown. The proposed project would like to enter into its first phase of construction in the near future. The goals of the project stem from the Rethink Boston City Hall master plan dating back to 2017. Hope to provide Boston City Hall with a thriving, innovative front yard complete with accessible connections, play for all ages, sustainable green infrastructure, and interactive public program. The project's scope of work during phase 1 of construction will focus on the north side of the plaza. A major piece of the first phase is the creation of a civic pavilion off of Congress Street, adjacent to the existing MBTA air vent structure. This new pavilion is 4,600 square feet and will house necessary mechanical and electrical systems, restrooms, and a public meeting space. This space is necessary for the city to provide critical operational and infrastructural system support to help activate the plaza for both daily needs and special events. The community process regarding the design of the project included many stakeholders and members of the preservation communities over numerous meetings since 2018. The latest meetings regarding the proposed minor modification and updates to the project occurred as recently as March 9 to enthusiastic support from attendees. For the project to move forward, Parcel 11 requires an addition of community uses to be included with public open space as permitted land uses for City Hall Plaza, aka Parcel 11. Let me know if you have any questions about the resolution or minor modification. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have any questions from the board?
I have two questions. Chris, is this the only vote we're taking on this project, or?
I believe so. I think everything else is, let's see, they're moving forward. The project, they're utilizing Chapter 149A for construction management at risk delivery method. Multiple construction packages are bid out when ready, providing an efficient design and construction process. Shawmut Design and Construction has been selected as the construction manager and is now actively participating in pre-design with Sasaki, Skanska USA, and the owners of the project, and as well as the Public Facilities Department. So I believe this will be the only vote going forward, unless something changes in phase 2. This is right. They're really focusing on phase 1 currently.
Chris,
I know this modification gets sent to City Council. Is there full City Council support for this project?
Yeah, so I notified DHCD and the City Council as well as the City Clerk. They were all notified that nothing came back in terms of opposition to the project.
Okay, great. I'm sorry, yes, Teresa?
I was just going to ask Chris, we have Jill Zick online, if she may have some other information about the project, if you wanted anything more, Carol, or if you're good, then we're fine, we can move on.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, great. Any further questions from the board? Okay, and thank you again, Carol, for your diligence in making sure that our urban renewal process and communications with the City Council and our agreements are completed. So sounds like they are. Thank you very much, Christopher. Okay, so if we have no further questions, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Okay, item number 16, we have personnel, and that means Jamie.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We have one item for your consideration. It is a status change for Gerald Butler, Senior Project Manager Planner in the Planning Division, for a return to work, and that's the only item.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions from the board? Hearing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 17 is contractual. So I need a motion to pay our bills.
I move that the BPDA pay its bills.
I would second that.
All right, let's vote on it. Ms. Downs,
Aye.
Mr. Monahan,
Aye.
Dr. Landsberg,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Please pay those bills. Finally, item number 18, we have director's update, and I'll turn it over to Director Golden.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you to the members. Today's board meeting, of course, was held virtually in response to guidance to protect members of the public, BPDA staff, and BPDA board members in light of the COVID-19 public health emergency. As always, today's board meeting was also televised and live streamed on boston.gov as it is every month. Only matters that have been previously completed or that have previously completed their public process or ministerial items were brought to you for consideration today. And no Article 80 development projects or items that require public hearings were presented to you today for votes. One item that I'd like to highlight is your vote earlier, both in the EDIC proceeding as well as the BRA proceeding that we're in now. I'd like to focus on your authorization to enter into rent deferment agreements to support the small, medium, and large businesses that occupy BPDA-owned properties and have been severely impacted in many cases by the COVID-19 public health crisis. This agency's tenants are many of the small and local businesses that grow and fuel the Boston economy and employ hundreds of the city's residents. It's critical, as many of you have noted, that we support these tenants during these challenging times, while also working at the same time to maintain the agency's financial solvency that funds our crucial planning and economic development functions that serve the people of Boston so well. And I thank you for your affirmative vote for that authorization to negotiate deferment agreement. Regarding the agency's day-to-day operations, with sporadic and isolated exceptions, we've all been working for the most part from home since March 17, 2020. We continue to function well under the circumstances. While a large number of our traditional activities are suspended, planning exercises and conversations in the neighborhood, Article 80 development review meetings in the neighborhood, property disposition conversations in the neighborhoods. These have all been suspended, but there are significant activities that do continue. Detailed, deliberate work associated with planning, with Article 80 development, and with our business transactions, leases, and the like. They do continue to occur, and they actually lend themselves rather well to remote work and collaboration through video teleconferences. We've moved our internal meetings online with phone calls and video chats occurring frequently throughout the day through most of the agency's divisions. Staff has also been taking advantage of this time to invest in solid professional development opportunities through webinars, online classes, podcasts, and other digital and print media that are relevant to their job function. I'm personally committed to communicating with staff on a regular basis. Just before we began the proceeding this afternoon, we concluded our fourth all-staff video teleconference, our live streaming, in which every member of the staff is invited to view a presentation on what's going on. I communicate what I know about significant activities in the agency, but more broadly, what's going on in City Hall and city government's comprehensive response to the COVID crisis. So we do that every week. This was the fourth week, Thursday afternoon, so that staff have an opportunity to know what I know about what's going on in all of the divisions of the agency that is of significance and should be understood by the broader population of staff, but also, again, what the whole of government response is, and really the whole of society response is to the COVID effort. So when we stream, we do our weekly live streaming on Thursday afternoons with this all-staff meeting. We also give staff an opportunity to ask questions and receive answers. We ask through a Google form that's put out every week for staff to let us know what they'd like me to address and questions they'd like me to answer. We distribute a weekly internal newsletter with information and updates on the city's COVID response efforts. And we've shared information with all our staff about volunteer opportunities throughout the city. There are a host of employees who are volunteering to move outside of their portfolio of responsibilities at the BPDA, to move outside the realm of the jobs they were hired to do and go where they are needed, to do things that are needed by the city as a whole. Some of this requires remote online engagement through technology, but some of it is really legwork going on throughout the city to make sure that vulnerable populations are able to access the food that they need. This is school children, this is the elderly, this is people with disabilities, these are the homeless. So there's a lot of boots on the ground in the city, and some of our staff are playing a role in that. Multiple members of the staff are playing a role in standing up the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center's Boston Hope facility, which is a 500-bed hospital and a 500-bed facility for vulnerable, unsheltered populations. So some of our teams are working on that. We also have staff working on logistics issues. One member of our staff is spending almost full-time, more than full-time, engaging city, state, and federal officials to make sure the logistical support that is supposed to be coming from MEMA, the state's emergency management agency, that also gets resources from FEMA, the federal emergency management agency, that it's all getting to Boston and into the hands of those who need to use this equipment and supplies. So we are participating in the whole of government response to the COVID crisis above and beyond our core mission. So with that, I want to say thanks to you and to our staff who've been working productively at home. I want to thank staff who've been going above and beyond to assist in their volunteer efforts. And I wish you health and happiness until we meet again in May. Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you, Director Golden. And, on behalf of the board, thank you, Director Golden, Secretary Polhemus, the entire leadership team at the BPDA. It is a very trying time and a difficult time to lead. And so I, again, wish you all the best and hope that you're self-caring as well as all of our team as well. Thank you not only for your service to in our agency's mission, but your service to the community, just beyond grateful for you. So
on behalf of staff, thank you for those very kind words.
we're just gonna, on behalf of every, no, it's great. Definitely comes from the heart. So, I think on those notes, again, everybody stay healthy, stay safe. And it's time. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn the BPDA meeting.
Second.
Okay, roll call for a vote. Ms. Downs?
Aye.
Mr. Monahan?
Aye.
Right, Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Okay, and the chair votes aye. Motion passes, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Madam.